In 2023, McDonald's was looking for a way to stay relevant and capture the caffeine-crazy, TikTok-scrolling crowd who'd rather sip than chew. To that end, they launched a whole new coffee chain that looked like Starbucks after a UFO abduction. It was called CosMc, which was pretty appropriate because it wasn't long for this world. So, today we'll be trying to figure out what exactly happened to the weird McDonald's spin-off that failed. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other fast food experiments you would like to hear about. Okay, prepare for liftoff in T-3, 2, 1. When McDonald's first announced CosMc in July 2023, people thought it was a joke. The name sounded made up, like a rejected gag from a Futurama episode.
I'm unstoppable!
But it was all too real. McDonald's even hyped it like the moon landing, calling it a beverage-led spin-off, focused on specialty drinks, snacks, and bold flavor experimentation. And hey, who doesn't like to be experimented on? It seems weird now, but it made sense. At least, on paper. Coffee culture had become its own multiverse, a whole caffeinated cosmos with its own gravity. Starbucks ruled the galaxy like a benevolent space emperor, while every other chain scrambled to create the next big beverage moment. And McDonald's had certainly tasted that power before. They'd watched the Grimace Shake take over the internet, and they still had PTSD from the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce riots of 2017.
They created a new sauce for the McNuggets called Szechuan sauce, and it's delicious.
When Gen Z trend zombies descended on restaurants throughout the country, corporate America saw that chaos and thought, hey, we can totally engineer this. In other words, McDonald's didn't just want into coffee culture, they wanted to manufacture the next youth culture supernova. But under the arches, that felt unlikely. They needed a new orbit. And that's when they dusted off a very old, very weird piece of McDonald's lore. The name CosMc is a tribute to the legendary CosMc himself. Of course, everyone's favorite hyperactive, six-armed space alien. Not ringing any bells? Fair enough. CosMc was never one of McDonald's Land's headliners. He was a gadget-obsessed space goofball who popped up in late 80s commercials to barter cosmic trinkets for Big Macs. Because apparently he could figure out space travel, but not how to make a hamburger. With the personality of a caffeinated golden retriever, he was the perfect mascot for a drink-based chain built on chaos and sugar. He may not have had the name recognition of a Hamburglar, or a Mayor McCheese, or even a Mac Tonight, but his blend of nostalgia and left-field weirdness just felt strange enough to work. And if you think the mascot was quirky, wait until you see where they put him. The first renderings of CosMc showed a sleek, neon-washed cafe that looked more like a battery-powered spa than a burger joint. Think deep violet walls, glowing signage, and 4 drive-through lanes designed for hyper-efficient ordering. Inside, it was pure influencer bait, digital menus, mood lighting, and drinks with names that sounded like scented bath bombs. Turmeric spiced latte, churro frap, pistachio swirl. McDonald's even made a point of saying this wasn't just another McCafe. It was supposed to compete head-on with Starbucks and Dunkin'.
Love Dunkin', guy.
They knew Gen Z was not down to clown. You know, with Ronald. So they hoped they'd get their fix with CosMc. Okay, that's enough rhyming. CosMc officially launched on December 7th, 2023, in Bolingbrook, Illinois, a Chicago suburb that suddenly became ground zero for the McDonald's CosMc side quest. And the first day looked like a movie premiere. People literally waited in line for over an hour to order a drink called the Blueberry Ginger Boost. Traffic data later showed that Bolingbrook CosMc had twice the foot traffic of a normal McDonald's that first month. Customers posted drive-through videos like it was a sneaker drop. Meanwhile, the menu leaned hard into extremes. Every drink looked like a Lisa Frank folder run through a blender. There were Galaxy lattes, popping pearl teas, energy drinks with names like Turmeric Thunder, and something called a Sour Cherry Energy Burst that may have actually been radioactive. Snacks included Donut McPops, pretzel bites, and a rotating set of breakfast sandwiches that reportedly tasted like they were still in beta testing. Critics called it McStarbucks meets Hot Topic, but for a brief caffeinated moment, It seemed like the McDream was coming McTrue. TikTok creators staged drink reviews in their cars, ranking the weirdest color combinations. CosMc's didn't need marketing. It had virality. By early 2024, McDonald's planned 10 locations, 1 in Illinois and, for some reason, 9 in Texas. They also promised a brand new rewards app called CosMc's Club, because what's a beverage empire without loyalty points? Everything seemed primed for liftoff. But beneath the shimmer, a pattern was emerging. People went once for the novelty, the neon cups, the alien mascot, the sense of, wait, McDonald's made this? And then drifted back to their usual haunts. Once the influencers grabbed their content, they were ready to move on to the next shiny object. Starbucks had the reach, Dunkin' had the regulars, CosMc's had bubble tea with a side of identity crisis. By early 2025, McDonald's started quietly closing CosMc's locations in Texas. 3 stores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area shuttered almost overnight. At the same time, the company opened 2 smaller locations nearby, calling it a test of new formats. In corporate speak, that's what you say when you're reverse engineering an exit strategy. By May 2025, the experiment was over. McDonald's announced the entire CosMc's project would wind down, effective immediately. The app was deleted, the drive-thru lights dimmed, and those shimmering purple signs started disappearing, like UFO sightings that turned out to be weather balloons. So what went wrong? Well, for one thing, McDonald's has a long, colorful history of trying to be everything except McDonald's, and those detours matter. In the mid-1990s, for example, the company launched the Arch Deluxe, a burger for adults, complete with a split-top sesame bun, thick bacon, a Dijon mayo sauce, and $300 million in advertising behind it. The idea was to shed the kiddie-happy image and snag the grown-ups. And that idea failed spectacularly. Around the same time, McDonald's bought into a whole slew of other restaurant chains. It acquired Donato's Pizza in 1999, invested in Chipotle Mexican Grill in 1998, then later exited both. They also bought Boston Market in 2000, but one by one, each of these bets ultimately got spun off or divested when the strategy shifted. And let's not forget the health pivot era. After the documentary Supersize Me became a surprise hit in 2004, McDonald's responded by leaning hard into salads, healthy wraps, fruit and yogurt parfaits, and the McSalad Shaker, a cup of lettuce you were supposed to shake like maracas. It was a defensive branding exercise, shouting back at the World Health narrative while still selling burgers. The problem? Customers tuned into McDonald's for fries and convenience, not to track their lettuce macros. These attempts share a pattern. The core brand builds one identity, and then leadership tries to stretch it into something else. More grown-up, more health-aware, more premium.
Sure to satisfy your grown-up needs and desires.
Only to find the stretch yields friction instead of growth. Whether it's adult burgers, maraca salads, or trying to convince people that milkshakes were a breakfast item, the lesson is McDonald's did not organically evolve into those things. It appended them, and appended things don't always get adopted. So, when McDonald's launched CosMc's, the drink-led spinoff in 2023, it was carrying a corporate habit. Test a new orbit around the arches, see what sticks, then bring the best bits back. In other words, the CosMc's stories wasn't an anomaly. It was a textbook case of the Golden Arches myth of reinvention. And the same curse hit CosMc's. It wasn't that the drinks were bad, some were genuinely fun. It was that the entire brand felt like a science project. The energy burst beverages took forever to make. The toppings slowed drive-through times. And the staff, trained in McSpeed, were suddenly juggling whipped cream towers and lychee pearls. Even McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczinski admitted CosMc's created brand contradiction. It was too different to merge back into McDonald's and too weird to stand on its own. He said they'd used the spinoff to quarantine complexity, which is corporate shorthand for we wanted to play with our food, just not in public. By summer, McDonald's had pulled the plug entirely, calling CosMc's a limited test. But you don't trademark an alien, build a new app, and open 10 stores for fun. This was a full-scale moonshot. It just ran out of fuel halfway to orbit. McDonald's insisted CosMc's wasn't a failure. It was an experiment. And whether they originally intended it that way or not, that's what it turned out to be. The company claimed the test helped them understand new flavors, new technologies, and new processes without disrupting the main business. Translation, it was a safe sandbox to learn what not to do. They said insights from CosMc's would enhance drink offerings at regular McDonald's locations. And to their credit, you can already see traces of it. Limited edition lattes, fruit refreshers, and cold foam drinks started sneaking onto menus in mid-2025. It's not the first time McDonald's spun off something experimental only to fold it back in later. McCafe, born in Australia in 1993, began as a separate concept before being folded into traditional restaurants. By 2025, McCafe had over 20,000 locations worldwide, quietly doing what CosMc's couldn't: deliver caffeine with consistency instead of chaos. That comparison says everything. McCafe worked because it simplified coffee. CosMc's failed because it complicated it. The former was grab a cappuccino with your Egg McMuffin. The latter was try our churro foam turmeric thunderball with popping pearls and hope for the best. Still, CosMc's wasn't without influence. The multi-lane drive-thru model caught the attention of other chains. Starbucks started experimenting with pickup hubs, and even Wendy's began testing express lanes. McDonald's, as always, was an early adopter that took the hit so others could steal their playbook. So, will CosMc's ever return? Probably not, as its own brand. But don't be surprised if a future McDonald's drink menu feels a little more CosMc. That's the beauty of a failed experiment in corporate food history. Nothing truly dies. It just gets repackaged with a smaller font and a better slogan.
It hardly looks real.
So what do you think? Did you ever get a chance to try out CosMc's? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.